Silver. It is Wednesday, June 27th. I just wanted to say a quick hello to all new viewers and a great welcome back to all returning viewers. If you did tune in last time and decided to come back, I really do appreciate it. Anyway, how have you been? I've been good. I do have lots to talk to you about, so I should probably get started, right? So grab your drink of choice, you are knitting, and away we go. Today I'm actually drinking a nice cup of coffee, actually from Cumbies, because I'm too lazy to go anywhere else, but oof, I love this coffee, guys. Okay, I am ready to go. How about you? I did manage to finish one thing this week, actually the first iteration of the shawl that I am designing. The shawl, I ended up getting 551.4 yards for stash dash, so that does make it a total of 3,367.7 yards, which is about 3,079 meters. As I mentioned before, this is actually the first iteration of the shawl that I'm designing. I'm not quite ready to release details of the pattern yet. Don't even have a proper name yet. I figure there are several more things that I need to debate and change on the shawl before I get ready to send it out to test knitters. I did, however, I can let you know I did use the Dream Color Smushy color base, and the color is called Animal Menagerie. I did use a size US 7, which was a 4.5 marbles needles. I did end up using a 7 for this design and this particular base. It seemed like it was a little bit more heavy fingering than usual. So, but most of the fingering weight shawls that I asked to be test knit in a size 6 usually. Anyway, I am rambling. Moving on to works in progress. I did manage to start 2 different items this week because, as I do, I cannot stop casting things on. The first one I actually did start about 11 o'clock last night after I finished the first one, is what I'm going to be simply calling a shawl number 2 on my Ravelry page. Like I said, this is going to be the second iteration of the design that I'm trying out a little bit. I'm trying to play with different sizings of the shawl and just to kind of see what I like to do with the patterning. I'm hoping against hope that the shawl should be coming together soonish. On this one, I will be using the nice and knit fingering in the canal, the driftwood, and the vineyard that I used in a previous shawl, mostly because I wanted to save as much as I possibly could for this one. I am going for a solid, semi-solid theme right now for this particular shawl, just to kind of see how the pattern knits up like that. I am, like I mentioned before, going to be using a size US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter. I'm using my Chigu red lace needles on that one. I think the size is 40. Yeah, it's a 40-inch cable. And this one is actually going to be housed in the Orange Gothic bag by the Knitting Broomstick. Oh, I love this bag, guys. I cannot say that enough. Anyway, the second thing that did get cast on and got quite a bit of love is actually a tank that's called Gemini by Jane Richmond. I'm calling the project Gemini's in retrograde because I'm punny like that. Anyway, I am using a Red Heart Comfort Sport colorway called Cardinal Red, which is very super red. I love this color. I just wish I had this particular red on a semi-cotton, I guess, but meh, I do what I do, right? For this one, I am actually using a size US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter, and a size US 7, which is a 4.5 millimeter marble circs on various lengths, depending on where I am in the sweater. And it's actually free floating it right now. Oops. Maybe I should find a bag to put it in. Whoops. I just realized I never assigned it to a bag. I am so good at this game. Anyway, so there are 2 different things that got a fair amount of love this week. The first one is what I called skirting the tree. This is the Mod Stripe Tree Skirt by Kristen Oshburn Hemrich. I think that's how you pronounce your name. I am so sorry. I am making this for a holiday knit. I won't tell you for who. The colors I'm using on this one are all going to be Red Heart Holiday colorways. And they're very, very descriptive, guys. The first one is Aron Gold, then red, white silver, and then green. You can kind of sense the theme, I'm sure, right? Anyway, I am knitting this on a US 8 5.0 millimeter Susan Bates Circs that I have. I believe I just graduated it up, but I will double check that when I work on it next time, right? I am housing this in one of my oldest knitting bags that I bought back before I knew what bags were supposed to be, but I bought it at Walmart years ago. It's my black and red bag that I have toted everywhere. The next thing I got, some love, I guess. I did get past the first heel of my June self-striping socks for the KAL that I'm participating in with the Knit Girls. This is just a vanilla sock pattern that I've kind of perfected for my feet and for myself over the years. I am using Fab Funky Fibers self-striping sock in the Smells Like Team Spirit colorway. I still love it, you guys. I had my mind on other things, as you can see before. I am knitting this on a size US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter on both 9-inch circulars and 2 16-inch circulars for the heels, toes, and cuffs. And this is actually being housed in my Zelda stained glass bag by Slip Stitch Studios. Absolutely adore it, you guys. Absolutely adore it. So this week I did do a fair amount under the X's and O's category, both in my writing and I have another craft. Let's start off with writing. I wrote a total of 5 posts for my personal blog this week. I'll actually link the blog below in the show notes, but it is dreamysilver2112.com. It's basically where I put all of my reading goals, etc. So this week, I did end up putting up 3 individual posts for everything that I had been finished over the past few weeks. And that was actually before the FO I mentioned earlier, only because I haven't quite gotten to that FO yet. I also did put up a post to update the world on how I'm doing with Stash Dash, including totals, etc. It's actually how I remembered exactly what my total was last week when we spoke. I also updated the post for the books that I've been reading in the year in 2018. Apparently, it had been quite a while since I had made an update to the post. Oops. I actually haven't updated that since February, so I thought it was about time. It took me hours to remember exactly what I had written. Luckily, I have Goodreads. Whoever showed me that, I appreciate y'all so much. Anyway, like I mentioned before, MDI and I both have a new craft. We bought a diamond painting kit of Van Gogh's Starry Night. It finally arrived a few days ago, and we've been enjoying ourselves so much working on it. We have lost our ever-living minds on this project. Mostly me, because, yeah, I love it anyway. Basically, all of the instructions were in Chinese, but I think we've got it all figured out, right? I put up a few videos on Instagram as an Instagram story, which might have be gone by the time you listen to this, but I will make sure to put the 3 little videos that I made at the end of the episode too, just so you can see what I'm talking about. This painting, it's so fun. It's like a mixture of like pit cross and like painting by numbers, which all something that I like to do. It took me probably about half an hour of working on it to realize, oh wow, it's written out like a grid, like I don't know, cross stitching. So after that, it was on like Donkey Kong. Let's move on to Radio Gaga. Yes, I have been listening to a fair amount of stuff over the past week. Let's start off with the radio station that I created on Spotify called Silver's Being Random. I will link the playlist directly in the show notes. So if you would like to listen to, you can as well. It is up to you. I did also listen to a fair amount of podcasts. Let's start off with the ones that I like to do on a weekly basis. The Knitmore Girls, Wine and Crime, and Is This Adulting? Oh, love these folks. And I also found this week, because of Is This Adulting, a podcast called And That's Why We Drink. It is a new podcast to me. They basically they premiere a ghost story and a true crime story all in one episode, and they break it down that way. These two ladies are absolutely awesome. They are unbelievable storytellers. Even if the story is hard to tell, they do it with enough laughter that you're comfortable listening to the story. Um, I have to admit, I was definitely freaking myself out a little bit with a few of the episodes, but that's just late night listening to episodes of ghost stories. Anyway, I did binge listen up to episode 30, and that does include a few of the listener story episodes, which, by the way, people have some awesome stories too. Let's move on to Silver's book pile. I have not been as great reading this week, but I have at least gotten my 15 minutes in a day if I could. All that aside, I did manage to get 3 different books finished this week. The first was Dream with Me Cowboy by Deborah Clopton. The second was Treasure Me Cowboy by Deborah Clopton again. And the third one I just finished this morning was a book called The Mesmerist by Pam McClutchan. Let me tell you, I don't even know if I'm saying her last name right, but this book is unbelievably awesome. It explores the whole time, what do you call it? Time traveler slash like romance novel thing. It's it's interesting. I could not stop reading this. I think I finished this in about 3 hours. I I can't even. And as you do. And then there is one book that I am currently reading. I am reading Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I am about 60% of the book. I still have about 12 hours. I'm really hoping to finish this book hopefully by the end of the month, so that way I can get started back up with the Outlander series that has been languishing for a while I'm waiting to finish this one. Plus, it also has helped that I've been listening to it while working on podcast notes and stuff yesterday. Silver and the Case of the Screen Time. I have been still watching through Stargate SG-1. I am up to season 6, episode 13. I'm getting to the point where I've started planning out how I want to watch the episodes of Stargate, whether I want to follow in the exact chronological order or if I just want to watch SG-1 then back to Atlantis. But I think I kind of want to do it in chronological order, so I'm going to have to find that list that I made the last time, because that seemed to do pretty well, where you would start off with SG-1 to a certain episode, and then when Atlantis premiered, you would start watching those episodes like back to back kind of thing, which is awesome. So this week was definitely a bit heavier on what I was listening to, but I did manage to finish a few movies this week. I watched Step Up, and I also watched One Last Dance, which has Patrick Swayze in it, and I love watching that man move. It's too bad he's gone now. I also watched a Hallmark movie called A Royal Family Christmas, as well as another one called Christmas Angel. And then I watched kind of a favorite of mine called Au Pair. I watched a lot of these on YouTube, you guys. All right, and as per my usual, I did watch Around the Twist, the Knit Girls, Geeky Girls Knit, and Knit 3 together. I love those ladies. I will not stop watching them. And as you do, I was watching a bunch of videos on YouTube, Most notably, there was an Elton John carpool karaoke episode. And as everyone's probably seen on Facebook, there was a carpool karaoke episode that Paul McCartney did. I have to admit, I was bawling midway through. I love that dude. He's amazing, and he's so down to earth. I also watched the episode, not the episode, the speech that Obama did before he left office. I I don't know why I didn't watch it at the time, but I loved every minute of it. He was taking pot shots at pretty much everybody on his way out the door. It's unbelievably awesome. Another thing that I got stuck in on YouTube was the 40th anniversary of the Sound of Music, where they all got together. Chris Plummer was working on a movie, so he couldn't quite get there for the reunion, which kind of made me sad, but I understand. And the last thing I'm going to mention is a video called Comedy Violin. So, question for you. How many ways can you play Pop Goes the Weasel on violin? Well, you'll have to watch the video to find out. I'm going to be linking all of those videos directly in the show notes so that way you can watch them as well if you would like to. All right, moving on to the end of the road. I am pretty social. You can find me on our Ravelry board, which is Silver's Dreamland Podcast. I am Silver Luna 2112 there on Ravelry. On Facebook, Silver's Dreamland can be found at www.facebook.com/Silver's Dreamland. On Instagram, I am Silver's Treats. On Twitter, I am at Silver's Knitting. I do tend to read through all messages as soon as I possibly can. If you don't hear from me within 24 hours, please feel free to email me directly at silversdreamland@gmail.com. And as always, anything that I talk about can be found in the show notes at www.silversdreamlandpodcast.com. I know it's going to be a shorter show this week, you guys. I quite frankly didn't get much done, if I'm being completely fair. But I have rambled for long enough. I know your time is valuable. Please feel free to join in any discussion, or you can start your own on our Silver's Dreamland Ravelry board. I don't bite, I promise. Also, if you would like to and you're there, please introduce yourself and I will shout you out on the next episode. Please stay tuned for episode 52 on the 4th. Until next time, happy crafting! Got a new craft. Yeah, this is like a diamond painting thing. I saw the Starry Night one and just had to have. As I was saying, it's kind of hard to see right now. We've had this only a couple of days, but you can kind of see the little work that both MDI and have been up to. A lot of work. And the beads are that tiny. Yo.